everybody. I'm VJ Flag.
And I'm Rich G, and this is episode 334, When You're the Problem. Today,
This is a good one.
I want to talk about one of my clients, Michael. Now, the names have been changed, so I don't have a client, Michael, okay?
Okay.
And my clients out there, it's not about
Yes.
you,
Don't,
okay?
no need to call. No need to
No
call.
need to call me. I think they're going to call. Michael was stuck. And he had a tech startup and it was doing great. It was flourishing. Everything was going great. Everything's wonderful. Lots of clients, lots of business. Over like 4 or 5 years, it keeps growing and growing and growing. Everything's going great.
So nice. So nice.
And here's the but. But his team had begun to fray at the edges. That was the problem. And
Ouch.
there was like no collaboration. There was discord between his people, and
Ooh.
a lot of people were getting disengaged. And it wasn't because of COVID or anything else. It was just, you get to that point in your business where you grow or it gets busy, where what you were doing isn't working.
Yeah. So basically what you're saying is it's like the Taylor Swift song. It's me. Hi, I'm the problem.
Yeah.
And really, Michael realized his problems were operational, but in his leadership style, and his approach of, creating an environment where creativity was stifled and his team voices were being drowned out. He knew he had to change it. He absolutely knew he had to change it, and quickly.
Yeah.
So this was a very scary tale.
And again, I think companies go through stages, and sometimes what you did before isn't going to work now. And
Right.
I think BJ and I have done like 50 podcasts on this, that you need to change up what you're doing. And this one's big because it's on leadership. So tip number one is you have to unlearn old habits. That's the first thing. And this is probably the hardest tip of the 4 that we're going to talk about today. Michael had to stop directing his people and start collaborating with people. He had to unlearn those habits that he had that brought him a lot of success in the past. I mean, again, his startup's just exploding. So what did he do? The first thing is he actively started soliciting feedback from his team. And that raw honesty helped him rebuild trust with his team, which he was losing. That's what was causing. But just soliciting feedback was huge.
And one defining moment was a team retreat. This I thought was pretty interesting, which was aimed at addressing the underlying issues. It was in a setting far from the pressures of the office, and team members could openly share their aspirations and fears and perceived barriers to success. I think that was a key thing to do. And Michael often listened uncomfortably. I mean, like, he's sitting there and everybody's saying, bashing him basically.
You suck.
Yeah. And his team articulated their feelings of being unappreciated and overworked, and their creative, spirits stifled by the culture of such rigid expectations. And you have to say, where did that all come from, Michael? Was it insecurity? Was it imposter syndrome? What was it that caused you to keep dreaming, being that way?
Yeah, this is the type of thing where you need to listen to your people. I always say, don't listen to them too much because they'll happily whine forever. But if you give them a platform to intelligently talk about things that are really critical, that's so important. So the action step that we want you to take away is
stop talking and start listening to your team and to your customers. This is the most important one.
Absolutely.
For sure. But listen, tip number 2 is turning point. The retreat was the turning point. Michael embraced a more empathetic leadership style. He was able to, after the retreat, just take that 180. And he embraced, he recognized each team member's unique strength and motivation. He instituted regular one-on-one meetings to discuss work, again, collaboration, and understand their personal goals and challenges. This shift didn't just change the office dynamics. It reignited a sense of purpose and belonging within the team. And I'm sure Michael got his passion back.
Yeah, it's huge because in a startup, it's just work, and you're just jumping. You don't have anything in place. You don't have rules or any process. So Michael just doing that, just having those regular meetings and listening to his team helped him immeasurably build back that trust. And it's funny because as Michael's leadership evolved, so did the team's performance.
Oh, geez.
Oh my gosh, you listen and act on what your team's saying, their performance, their productivity will get better. The projects that were once mired in conflict now benefit from diverse perspectives and open communication.
Oh my
and
gosh.
The team began to operate with a newfound energy that came because you are empowering them to make decisions. They tackle challenges with creative solutions born from a collective pool of ideas and experiences. So people started working together.
Yeah. And you know what I love about this is that he was strong enough as a person to take this change.
Yeah.
And realize that by doing it, yes, I'm still vulnerable, but wow, has my team come back to basically reward me and save my butt.
So our action item for this one is make a clear decision to change your old habits and turn them into new strengths. Michael had the strength to say, you know what? I need to change the way I'm doing things here, or I'm going to lose my people. So he did, and it was just immeasurable. Our third tip is, guess what? Hitting hurdles. Okay, not everything is hunky-dunky. Just because he changed something doesn't mean everything's just going to be Johnny Sunshine. It's going to be beautiful. Not everything's hunky-dunky. Some team members were resistant to the change. They were the ones that probably liked what Michael was doing. And now that Michael's changing his leadership style, they didn't like this. So Michael was committed, though, to his personal growth as a leader. He wanted to change things. And he wanted to foster an environment where each team member could thrive. So he wasn't just changing his leadership style. He was changing it and focusing it on each individual team member and customizing it. Ultimately, he gradually won over even the most skeptical of members, those resistant to change.
Yeah. And I think probably a lot of the ones who were that way were with him since the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So it was hard for them to make the little rotation with him.
I liked Michael. Old Michael was good.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? His story is a testament to the power of self-awareness and adaptability in leadership. You know, it underscores the fact that the most effective leaders recognize their limitations and are willing to evolve. Those are the strongest ones.
Yeah.
Listen to me, Elon Musk. It's about creating a space where a team member really feels valued and understood and empowered to bring in their best selves every day. You know, I just love that. It's just such a great experience.
Yeah, it really is. And we're not saying for you to make radical changes. Michael didn't. He just changed one thing. Instead of barking and talking out orders and directing, he started listening and collaborating and understanding his team, because his team was, as your team gets more experienced, they have great ideas that you might not. You're not perfect, so.
Yeah. And I think as a leader, you need to be constantly learning and applying your newfound skills. They want you to persevere. Yeah. They actually want you to be successful, your team. So this is awesome that you've made that change. Tip number 4, our last tip, is rediscovering your leader inside. Michael not only transformed his team, but he rediscovered himself as a leader. You can take quite a hit when you start to see people fraying at the sides. You get a little freaked out. But he learned that true leadership is not about having all the answers, but it's about asking the right questions and listening with an open heart to everybody. It's about, being brave enough to let go of the familiar and embrace new types of learning and thinking and all of that type of stuff. So, you really jazz up the team by doing this.
Yeah, it's getting back to the title, when you're the problem. It's hard. This is a hard thing for people to do because we all have egos. We all have our self-esteem. And when we tend to point to other things, it's the vendors, it's pricing, it's the economy, it's the people. My people just aren't working right.
Yeah.
Oh, you need to change. So if you, like Michael, are facing leadership challenges, remember that the path to resolution, I'm going to sound like Buddha right now, often lies within. It lies within you. You need to change. It's a journey of introspection, being willing to confront your shortcomings and having the courage to change. It's about understanding that leadership is not a static skill. Like, this is the way I've been doing this for years.
That's
but
right.
A dynamic process of continuous learning and growth. And if I may say, this goes out to a lot of our listeners that have had businesses for maybe 10, 15, 20 years, and they feel that this is the way I've always done things. But suddenly they realize their teams aren't listening, or they're getting high turnover, or people are problematic. Sometimes you're the problem and you need to change.
Yeah. And you know what? And you take it in stride, take it as a moment of reflection, and just understand we all can change. All of us can change. Yeah. Don't worry about that.
So the action step for this is you need to be brave. Okay. Step out of your comfort zone and make changes on how you lead your people. So that's all for today's episode. We invite you to share this podcast on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok with the hashtag The Best Small Business Show.
And thank you for tuning into The Best Small Business Show. If this episode has been valuable to you, subscribe, follow, share it with other budding entrepreneurs who might benefit.
And that's it for this week. You can reach out to me at richg.com and find BJ at newrenew.com.
Thanks to our editor and producer, Richard Scalzo. Have an unbelievable week and catch you later.